Okay, so yeah, that's that rampant professionalism we used to joke about here on the channel. Um, yeah. So yeah, I have been working on the website for the last hour, um, and now I come into the stream. I've got my coffee. I'm ready to go. We're gonna hit the most minor of all the minor prophets yet again this week. And what happens? Freezes. Not even on me with a puzzled look on my face, which is what usually happens on a black goddamn screen. And I could sit here and bellyache about that until the end of time, or we could jump into the Bible, which I think is what we're going to do, is option two. Welcome one and welcome all to the one, the only Junk Shop Library channel, home of Improv Bible Study, the atheist Bible study that involves this mellifluous voice and this stinking pile of crap. This is not for children, not for most families. Some weeks it's not even for me. Let's face it, more weeks than not lately. It's been not even for me. But we're back again. 2 weekends in a row. What hath God wrought? You know, fuck all, as far as I can tell, is what God hath wrought. But, you know. All right. Well, before we launch into the word of the Lord, we're going to launch into the thank yous. Some amazing, amazing folks over on Patreon have continued to support the work of the channel during an interesting year. Interesting for me. Not terribly interesting for most of y'all, because there ain't been much on the channel because of the interestingness. Y'all know about that. If you don't, the Chronic Atheist podcast is linked below, and you can catch up on my spectacular medical mystery tour over there. But it is not this day. So, the shtick here at Improv Bible Study is we read every word. Because we want to know what we're criticizing and bitching about. We've been going for over 3 years. We've been going for 3.5 years and long gone since north of 300 videos here on the channel. We've got this far. We've got this far to go. This is the second Bible that we've used here on the channel, not counting the ones that we, periodically turn to when we have questions about translation. The old one that we started with In the Beginning, kind of fell apart, like literally pieces. The bulk of the book of Job just fell out one day. Make of that particular detail what you will. A wonderful friend and supporter of the channel and of the household personally sent a replacement. It's also got bigger print, believe it or not. That's bigger print than the one that we were originally using, and I myself am very grateful for that as well. So last week we finished up the book of the prophet Micah and tacked on all whopping 3 chapters of the book of Nahum for good measure. Today we're going to do this one, which apparently Google Pronounce, or whatever it is, says should be pronounced Habakkuk or something like that. But I was raised to pronounce it Habakkuk, and so that's the pronunciation I'm going with today, because I don't know how you get from a U to an eh sound with not even an umlaut or a diphthong or any other damn thing. Hive Science has snuck in. Good to see you. Great show earlier. All right. So, the book of Habakkuk. The burden which Habakkuk the prophet did see. O Lord, how long shall I cry, and thou wilt not hear? Even cry out unto thee of violence, and thou wilt not save. Why dost thou shew me iniquity, and cause me to behold grievance? For spoiling and violence are before me, and there are that raise up strife and contention. Therefore the law is slacked, and judgment doth never go forth. For the wicked doth compass about the righteous. Therefore wrong judgment proceedeth. Behold ye among the heathen, and regard, and wonder marvelously. For I will work a work in your days which ye will not believe, though it be told you. For lo, I raise up the Chaldeans, that bitter and hasty nation, which shall march through the breadth of the land to possess the dwelling places that are not theirs. They are terrible and dreadful. Their judgment and their dignity shall proceed of themselves. Their horses also are swifter than the leopards, and more fierce than the evening wolves. And their horsemen shall spread themselves, and their horsemen shall come from far. They shall fly as the eagle that hasteth to eat. They shall come all for violence. Their faces shall suck up as the east wind, and they shall gather the captivity as the sand. And they shall scoff at the kings, and the princes shall be a scorn unto them. They shall deride every stronghold, for they shall heap dust and take it. Then shall his mind change, that he shall pass over, and offend, inputting this his. Then shall his mind change, and he shall pass over, and offend, imputing this his power unto his God. Art thou not from everlasting, O Lord my God, mine Holy One? We shall not die, O Lord. Thou hast ordained them for judgment, and, O mighty God, thou hast established them for correction. Thou art of purer eyes than to behold evil, and canst not look on iniquity. Wherefore lookest thou upon them that deal treacherously, and holdest thy tongue when the wicked devoureth the man that is more righteous than he? And makest men as the fishes of the sea, and as creeping things that have no ruler over them? They take up all of them with the angle. They catch them in their net, and gather them in their drag. Therefore they rejoice and are glad. Therefore they sacrifice unto their net, and burn incense unto their drag, because by them their portion is fat, and their meat plenteous. Shall they therefore empty their net, and not spare continually to slay the nations? There we have chapter 1 of the book of Habakkuk. And my camera is frozen again, but it's scarcely ever in history frozen at a more appropriate time, angle, and facial expression. All right, that I can live with. Blank screen was going to give me the screaming memes, but this I can work with. Okay, so apparently the minor prophets is really just the sort of bargain budget basement sidekick archival greatest hits ripoff. Because we've gone, like, last week, I think it was I guess it was in Nahum, where he was like calling upon Israel to remember the greatest hits of their history, and he mentions Abraham, Moses and Aaron and Miriam, and Balaam. One brought us out of the land of the heathen and unto the world of monotheism. One brought us up out of the land of Egypt, and one beat the crap out of a donkey that wouldn't walk. Well, now apparently we're going with the greatest hits of the people that have punished us for our evil in the past. And we're going with the Chaldeans. So, it's just, at one level, it's just another prophet lamenting, right? Is what we're dealing with here. He's going, woe unto us, for we're getting beat up again, and the whole, we're being taken away into captivity and scattered upon the earth as the sand, and we're being all beat up and harvested by great forces of evil who have really angry horses, fast horses, mean horses, horses as fierce as the evening wolves. I thought it was a typo. I reread it while I was reading. Nope, evening wolves. Not the ravening wolves, which is the phrase you would usually encounter in this kind of thing, just slobbering monsters out of the desert, eating babies out of cribs and shit. But no, nope, evening wolves. Not the daytime wolves, not the nighttime wolves, the evening wolves. Yeah. Spooky, spooky, spooky. Horses. And they're riders who are both simultaneously destroying everything and harvesting everything, and taking over walled cities by means of gathering dust. I know at one level what we're dealing with here is an issue of, 1,500 years of worth of playing telephone with scraps of parchment, and so there's a significant element of idiom collapse that we're having to deal with, but it doesn't really seem all that impressive as a piece of writing. We got a whole bunch of folks piling into the chat. I've not seen some of y'all in a hot minute. Good to see you. Thank you for coming. Welcome to the most spectacular of all accidental freeze frames. This is not a screenshot that I set up at the beginning. This is my camera locking up again because it just can't be arsed. But what a picture did we get? Okay, so yet another nation is going to rise from among the heathen, known for its violence and depravity, and it's going to come stamp the shit out of the righteous until God decides to do something about it. Well, really, what else is new? Like, this happens all the time. Just fucking all the time. The entire Old Testament so far has been our trials and tribulations at the hand of the bad heathens and their mean beasties. Gotta hate them evening wolf-like horses. I get stuck on the most unimportant crap, but oh my goodness. I mean, let's face it, there's just not a lot going on in these minor prophets. We got to take our fun where we can, because it's mostly just woe, woe unto them, or woe, woe is me. It's just been that way since about fucking Ezekiel. And once we got out of the major and into the minor prophets and stuff stopped happening, because it's been a hot damn minute since something actually happened around here, it's just been laments and burdens and belly aching and moaning and praying for either the salvation of the Lord or the sweet release of death. And which of those various option clusters we take largely just depends on apparently the mood of the obscure crank in the desert who we happen to be reading at any given time. Okay, so having said that, there's not any particular need to drag these out any longer than they drag on their own. So I guess it's time for chapter 2 of the book of the prophet Habakkuk. I will stand upon my watch and set me upon the tower, and I will watch to see what he will say unto me, and what I shall answer when I am reproved. And the Lord answered me and said, write the vision, and make it plain upon tables, that he may run that readeth it. For the vision is yet for an appointed time, but at the end it shall speak, and not lie. Though it tarry, wait for it, because it will surely come, it will not tarry. Behold, his soul which is lifted up is not upright in him, but the just shall live by his faith. Yea, also, because he transgresseth by wine, he is a proud man, neither keepeth at home, who enlargeth his desire as hell, and is as death, and cannot be satisfied, but gathereth unto him all nations, and heapeth unto him all people. Shall not all these take up a parable against him, and a taunting proverb against him, and say, woe unto him that increaseth that which is not his? How long? And to him that ladeth himself with thick clay. Shall they not rise up suddenly that shall bite thee, and awake that shall vex thee, and thou shalt be booties unto them? Because thou hast spoiled many nations, all the remnants of the people shall spoil thee, because of men's blood, and for the violence of the land, and of the city, and of all that dwell therein. Woe to him that coveteth an evil covetousness to his house, that he may set his nest on high, that he may be delivered from the power of evil. Thou hast consulted shame to thy house by cutting off many people, and hast sinned against thy soul. For the stone shall cry out of the wall, and the beam out of the timber shall answer it. Woe to him that buildeth a town with blood, and stablisheth a city by iniquity. Behold, is it not of the Lord of hosts that the people shall labor in the very fire, and the people shall weary themselves for very vanity? For the earth shall be filled with the knowledge of the glory of the Lord, as the waters cover the sea. Woe unto him that giveth his neighbor drink, that puttest thy bottle to him, and makest him drunken also, that thou mayest look on their nakedness. Thou art filled with shame for glory. Drink thou also, and let thy foreskin be uncovered. The cup of the Lord's right hand shall be turned unto thee, and shameful spewing shall be on thy glory. For the violence of Lebanon shall cover thee, and the spoil of beasts which made them afraid, because of men's blood, and for the violence of the land, of the city, and all that dwell therein. What profiteth the graven image that the maker thereof hath graven it? The molten image, and a teacher of lies, that the maker of his work trusteth therein, to make dumb idols. Woe unto him that saith to the wood, Awake! To the dumb stone, Arise, it shall teach. Behold, it is laid over with gold and silver, and there is no breath at all in the midst of it, but the Lord is in his holy temple. Let all the earth keep silence before him. And that's chapter 2. Oh my goodness gracious sakes alive. Aren't you glad you showed up today and stuck it out this far? Woe unto them that drink and that get other people drunk with the explicit intent of seeing them naked. Because God is going to masturbate them until they spew. The word of the Lord as spoken to the prophet Habakkuk. Habakkuk. The Lord, verse 11, the Lord God of hosts will bring judgment upon them and shame upon their house by shining light on their foreskins and beating them off. God is weird. This is a very strange character in this book. Very strange. What in the name? Holy Toledo. I mean, have we smoked? Yeah. Hey, good to see you. Have we smoked anyone yet? Well, that kind of depends on your definition. I mean, we haven't smoked so much as we've stroked in a judgmental way. I got to admit, I always think I'm prepared for anything rolling into one of these streams, and I am always and invariably wrong. I always think I know, and there's always something even weirder or more boring than you. Like, when I come in thinking it's going to be boring, it's always more so, or it's absolutely not. When I come in thinking something's going to happen, nothing ever does. Never have I ever opened the Bible to find out that one of the punishments God is going to deal out on the nations who do not worship him is masturbation. What? No wonder they didn't teach Habakkuk in Sunday school. What are the apologetics for this? How do you get... I mean, I understand why the book was included, because there was that sidelong, one little verse in the book of Habakkuk, the 2nd chapter, saying something about how it was bad for everyone because they didn't have a king anymore, and were thus as the fish or the bugs because they don't have kings, and look how miserable their lives are. So sure, that's why it got included, but they left the punishment masturbation by God part in. They couldn't have just conveniently forgot to copy that over. What the hell are we reading? I am at a loss. At a loss am I. There is, I got nothing. I am not sputtering for comedic effect. I don't. Yeah, and he goes, Habakkuk goes from it's bad to drink in general to it's bad to get your neighbor drunk for evil reasons. Right back to it's bad to drink at all again. I just don't. Last chapter it was horses like wolves. This chapter, it's sooner or later God will cut you down. If by cut you down he means beat you off and make you spew your shame. Weird. Very weird. What are we reading? What are we reading? And this is the Making Sense book that we read here on the channel. We do the Book of Mormon too. God all fucking mighty. All right. Habakkuk 3. Here we go. Pause for coffee. Need a little something stronger than coffee if this junk keeps going the way it is. I know the brand is Mayhem and Foolishness Productions, but what in the name of Jehovah? All right. Habakkuk 3. A prayer, oh boy. A prayer of Habakkuk the prophet upon Shigionoth. O Lord, I have heard thy speech and was afraid. O Lord, revive thy work in the midst of the years. In the midst of the years make known. In wrath, remember mercy. God came from Timon, and the Holy One from Mount Paran. Selah. His glory covered the heavens, and the earth was full of his praise. And his brightness was as the light. He had horns coming out of his head, and there was the hiding of his power. Before him went the pestilence, and burning coals went forth at his feet. He stood and measured the earth. He beheld and drove asunder the nations, and the everlasting mountains were scattered. The perpetual hills did bow. His ways are everlasting. I saw the tents of Cushan in affliction, and the curtains of the land of Midian did tremble. Was the Lord displeased against the rivers? Was thine anger against the rivers? Was thy wrath against the sea, that thou didst ride upon thy horses and thy chariots of salvation? Thy bow was made quite naked, according to the oaths of the tribes, even thy word. Selah. Thou didst cleave the earth with rivers. The mountains saw thee, and they trembled. The overflowing of the water passed by. The deep uttered his voice, and lifted up his hands on high. The sun and moon stood still in their habitation. At the light of thine arrows they went, and at the shining of thy glittering spear. Thou didst march through the land in indignation. Thou didst thresh the heathen in anger. Thou wentest forth for the salvation of thy people, even for salvation with thine anointed. Thou woundedst the head out of the house of the wicked by discovering the foundation unto the neck. Selah. Thou didst strike through with his staves the head of his villages. They came out as a whirlwind to scatter me. Their rejoicing was as to devour the poor secretly. Thou didst walk through the sea with thine horses, through the heap of great waters. When I heard, my belly trembled, my lips quivered at the voice. Rottenness entered into my bones, and I trembled in myself, that I might rest in the day of trouble. When he cometh up unto the people, he will invade them with his troops. Although the fig tree shall not blossom, neither shall fruit be in the vines, the labor of the olive shall fail, and the fields shall yield no meat. The flock shall be cut off from the fold, and there shall be no herd in the stalls. Yet I will rejoice in the Lord. I will joy in the God of my salvation. The Lord God is my strength, and he will make my feet like hinds' feet, and he will make me to walk upon mine high places. To the chief singer on my stringed instruments. There we have the book of the prophet Habakkuk. He wrote a song like he did. Chapters 1 and 2 were his prophecy of doom upon the nations, and then chapter 3 was literally, I wrote a song about how great God is and how he's going to bring his vengeance upon the people and famine upon the land, and it's going to be okay because he loves me. So surely he will spare me for my love. And he ends his burden with a dedication to the soloist, to the chief singer on my stringed instruments. A dedication. We've got a dedication, and it's to a soloist he's got a crush on, I assume. Okay, well, there's just not a lot there. I mean, it's just another song about the might of the Lord and his great vengeance and furious anger, and the fact that he is slow to anger and abounding in steadfast love and full of violence, and the mountains are scared of him and run away, and and also he makes rivers happen where there were no rivers before. He is great and glorious and of blinding light, and pestilence walketh before him when he strides upon the land. Yeah. And it's dedicated to the chief singer. The wrath of God will consume the land, and there will be no more food to be found anywhere. And don't we love him? Notice me back, Ariana Grande. Habakkuk, weird. Habakkuk, no wonder they don't belabor Habakkuk in the Revised Common Lectionary. Because A, there's not much to it, and B, what's there is bonkers. Okay, really the only other thing I want to point out here is the repeated intrusion of the term Selah, which we haven't seen since back during the wisdom literature, Psalms and Proverbs, and to a lesser extent, the Song of Songs, which is Solomon's. When I was being raised, steeped in this, the sort of industry standard interpretation, at least in fairly mainstream white American Protestant lay scholarship, was it the reason Selah remains scattered throughout a lot of this stuff? Because it only appears in like stuff that's explicitly to be sung. The reason Selah is still scattered through all of this is that it's a bit of musical notation that we literally don't know what it means. That it means something like, you know, crash the cymbal here, because it doesn't appear just randomly. It appears at specific, fairly consistent and logical moments between phrasing, and then Selah, and then the next thought happens. So that's the little bit of raised religious trivia I got for you today. And beyond that, I don't really got anything more for Habakkuk. So we won't belabor Habakkuk any further. We will instead turn to the next, thankfully, short book, which is Zephaniah. Not Zechariah. We've still got a few more books to go before Zechariah. This is Zephaniah. The word of the Lord which came unto Zephaniah, the son of Cushi, the son of Gedaliah, the son of Amariah, the son of Hizkiah, in the days of Josiah, the son of Ammon, king of Judah. I will utterly consume all things from off the land, saith the Lord. I will consume man and beast. I will consume the fowls of the heaven, and the fishes of the sea, and the stumbling blocks with the wicked, and I will cut off man from the land, saith the Lord. I will also stretch out mine hand upon Judah, and upon all the inhabitants of Jerusalem, and I will cut off the remnants of Baal from this place, and the name of the Chemarims with the priests, and them that worship the host of heaven upon the housetops, and them that worship and that swear by the Lord, and that swear by Malcham, and them that are turned back from the Lord, and those that have not sought the Lord, nor inquired for him. Hold thy peace at the presence of the Lord God, for the day of the Lord is at hand. For the Lord hath prepared a sacrifice, and hath bid his guests. And it shall come to pass in the day of the Lord's sacrifice that I will punish the princes and the king's children, and all such as are clothed with strange apparel. In the same day also will I punish all those that leap on the threshold, which fill their masters' houses with violence and deceit. And it shall come to pass in that day, saith the Lord, that there shall be the noise of a cry from the fish gate, and an howling from the second, and a greater crashing from the hills. Howl, ye inhabitants of Machtesh, for all the merchant people are cut down, all they that bear silver are cut off. And it shall come to pass at that time that I will search Jerusalem with candles, and punish the men that are settled on their lees, that say in their heart, The Lord will not do good, neither will he do evil. Therefore their goods shall become a booty, and their houses a desolation. They shall also build houses, but not inhabit them. And they shall plant vineyards, but not drink the wine thereof. The great day of the Lord is near. It is near, and hasteth greatly, even the voice of the day of the Lord. The mighty man shall cry there bitterly. That day is a day of wrath, a day of trouble and distress, a day of wasteness and desolation, a day of darkness and gloominess, a day of clouds and thick darkness, a day of the trumpet and alarm against the fenced cities and against the high towers. And I will bring distress upon men, that they shall walk like blind men, because they have sinned against the Lord. And their blood shall be poured out as dust, and their flesh as the dung. Neither their silver nor their gold shall be able to deliver them in the day of the Lord's wrath, but the whole land shall be devoured by the fire of his jealousy, for he shall make a speedy riddance of all them that dwell in the land. There we have chapter 1. Okay, well, remember when I was saying a minute ago that it was always either woe is me or woe unto them? Well, woe unto them. I guess really the only thing that sets this apart from the rest of the minor prophets is that there's some attempt at a genealogy and a setting in time. Pretty much all of the rest of the minor prophets have been like the word of the Lord that came unto Bob, or the word of the Lord that came unto Jim, son of Topher. This one, the word of the Lord came to Zephaniah, whose father was Cushi, whose father was Gedaliah, whose father was Amariah, whose father was Hizkiah. And this happened in the days of Josiah, the son of Ammon, when he ruled over Judah. So, what we can do is we can cross-reference. We can bounce back clear deep into, I guess it would be 2 Kings, and search out amongst the generations where this falls, and we can cross-reference that with the stories of the reign of Ammon, king of Judah, and find out exactly what was going on when this happened. But we're not going to do that because that sounds painfully boring. So, have you no fear. But this is just a verbose and apparently no powers having Elijah, right? It's just him saying, everything's fucked and we're all gonna die, and it's probably the fault of those goddamn idol worshippers. What else is new? I mean, who cares? Oh, and also don't wear weird stuff, because God apparently is a petty fashionista. Good to see you. Thank you for coming. I mean, God's like your classic sort of Twitter era mean petty bitch, isn't he? The more he talks, the more you realize that this is a person without substance. Just all they've got is, I really want to be popular, and I'm going to stamp on people smaller than me if they don't gather around so I look popular for the cool kids. So, I mean, it's just more, there's nothing here. Great vengeance, furious anger, doom, death, and destruction. Don't you know any words that don't start with a D? You know, and so what? I mean, at least in the last book, there was the world is worthless unless the peoples of men have a king. You understand why that was included. So far in Zephaniah, not so much. Just yet another iteration of idolatry's bad. How did this get left in? Maybe we'll find out in chapter 2. Let's find out. Zephaniah 2. Gather yourselves together. Yea, gather together, O nation not desired. Before the decree bring forth, before the day pass as the chaff, before the fierce anger of the Lord come upon you, before the day of the Lord's anger come upon you, seek ye the Lord. All ye meek of the earth, which have wrought his judgment, seek righteousness, seek meekness. It may be ye shall be hid in the day of the Lord's anger. For Gaza shall be forsaken, and Ashkelon a desolation. They shall drive out Ashdod at the noonday, and Ekron shall be rooted up. Woe unto the inhabitants of the sea coast, the nation of the Cherethites. The word of the Lord is against you, O Canaan, the land of the Philistines. I will even destroy thee, that there shall be no inhabitant. And the sea coast shall be dwellings and cottages for shepherds, and folds for flocks. And the coast shall be for the remnant of the house of Judah. They shall feed thereupon. In the houses of Ashkelon shall they lie down in the evening, for the Lord their God shall visit them, and turn away their captivity. I have heard the reproach of Moab, and the revilings of the children of Ammon, whereby they have reproached my people, and magnified themselves against their border. Therefore, as I live, saith the Lord of hosts, the God of Israel, surely Moab shall be as Sodom, and the children of Ammon as Gomorrah, even the breeding of nettles and salt pits, and a perpetual desolation. The residue of my people shall spoil them, and the remnant of my people shall possess them. This shall they have for their pride, because they have reproached and magnified themselves against the people of the Lord of hosts. The Lord will be terrible unto them, for he will famish all the gods of the earth, and men shall worship him, one from his place, even all the isles of the heathen. Ye Ethiopians also, ye shall be slain by my sword. And he will stretch out his hand against the north and destroy Assyria, and will make Nineveh a desolation, and dry like a wilderness. And flocks shall lie down in the midst of her, all the beasts of the nations. Both the cormorant and the bittern shall lodge in the upper lintels of it. Their voice shall sing in the windows. Desolation shall be in the thresholds, for he shall uncover the cedar work. This is the rejoicing city that dwelt carelessly, that said in her heart, I am and there is none beside me. How is she become a desolation, a place for beasts to lie down in? Every one that passeth by her shall hiss and wag his hand. There we have chapter 2. Woe unto them. Be not proud and naughty, or God's going to smite you and fill up your houses with cormorants. Last time it was cockatrices and dragons. Now we've got coastal birds. Little bit of diminishing returns on the terror metric here, but you know, I mean, I guess if you're gone and dead, you don't do much care if it's a cockatrice or an albatross nesting in your windowsill. Doom, 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 woe unto them. But, you know, the poetry of the nesting seabirds singing in the abandoned windowsills all aside, it's just yet another list of people that the children of Israel hold grievance against, right? I mean, it's just, you know, they were bad and they were bad and they were mean and I didn't like them and they beat me up and took my lunch money and God will kill them and put birds in their windows. You know, tough it out because God will spank all the baddies in the end and also give you an abandoned coastal village to raise your sheeps in. You know, so it all evens out in the end. It'll all be okay someday. I long for substance in this book. I want a story. I want my stories. There's no stories here. Just a bunch of wailing and belly aching. I can bellyache just fine on my... You don't need belly aching. We've got belly aching at home. Chapter... where am I? Chapter 3. Woe unto her that is filthy and polluted, to the oppressing city. She obeyed not the voice. She received not correction. She trusted not in the Lord. She drew not near to her God. Her princes within her are roaring lions. Her judges are evening wolves. They gnaw not the bones till the morrow. Her prophets are light and treacherous persons. Her priests have polluted the sanctuary. They have done violence to the law. The just Lord is in the midst thereof. He will not do iniquity. Every morning doth he bring his judgment to light. He faileth not, but the unjust knoweth no shame. I have cut off the nations. Their towers are desolate. I have made their streets waste, that none passeth by. Their cities are destroyed, so that there is no man, that there is none inhabitant. I said, surely thou wilt fear me, for thou wilt receive instruction, so their dwelling should not be cut off. However, I punished them, but they rose early and corrupted all their doings. Therefore wait ye upon me, saith the Lord, until the day that I rise up to the prey. For my determination is to gather the nations, that I may assemble the kingdoms, to pour upon them mine indignation, even all my fierce anger. For the earth shall be devoured with the fire of my jealousy. For then will I turn to the people a pure language, that they may call upon the name of the Lord, to serve him with one consent. From beyond the rivers of Ethiopia, my suppliants, even the daughter of my dispersed, shall bring mine offering. In that day shalt thou not be ashamed for all thy doings, wherein thou hast transgressed against me. For then I will take away out of the midst of thee them that rejoice in thy pride, and thou shalt no more be haughty because of my holy mountain. I will also leave in the midst of thee an afflicted and poor people, and they shall trust in the name of the Lord. The remnant of Israel shall not do iniquity, nor speak lies, neither shall a deceitful tongue be found in their mouth, for they shall feed and lie down, and none shall make them afraid. Sing, O daughter of Zion. Shout, O Israel. Be glad and rejoice with all thy heart, O daughter of Jerusalem. The Lord hath taken away thy judgments. He hath cast out thine enemy. The King of Israel, even the Lord, is in the midst of thee. Thou shalt not see evil any more. In that day it shall be said to Jerusalem, Fear thou not, and to Zion, Let not thine hands be slack. The Lord thy God in the midst of thee is mighty. He will save. He will rejoice over thee with joy. He will rest in his love. He will joy over thee with singing. I will gather them that are sorrowful for the solemn assembly, who are of thee, to whom the reproach of it was a burden. Behold, at that time I will undo all that afflict thee, and I will save her that halteth, and gather her that was driven out. And I will get them praise and fame in every land where they have been put to shame. At that time will I bring you again, even in the time that I gather you. For I will make you a name and a praise among all people of the earth, when I turn back your captivity before your eyes, saith the Lord. And there we have the book of the prophet Zephaniah. Okie dokie. It'll be better someday. We. I mean, it's just another blithering Old Testament prophet. Just yet one more guy saying it'll be okay in the end, because one day God will come back and make it all right. I mean, yippee? I mean, at some point, I mean, not so far. I mean, if nothing else, we know that the book of the prophet Zephaniah has not been fulfilled, because it explicitly says that when he comes back, he's going to give all the righteous the same language so that they can worship him together as one. This has not happened. Okay? We've got recorded history in multiple languages by people who worship the same God, continuous since then. Okay? I mean, at the very least, continuous since 1611. Even if the thinking was, well, you know, the prophecy is yet to be fulfilled. It never has been. I mean, the righteous, and even if generously you assume that by the righteous you mean all members of any one given denomination, of any splinter group of the Abrahamic tradition, you'd be hard pressed to find one where all of them speak the same language. I mean, what has the Lord brought his peace upon the land for the righteous, and the righteous judgment against everybody else, and because his chosen people who all speak the same language, did I miss something? And was there some great world event that just wasn't taught in schools because we're the diaspora of evil? Maybe God's chosen people are the Pennsylvania Dutch. I don't know. All one language, all worshiping the same God the same way. Maybe the prophet Zephaniah has been fulfilled. It's a stretch. It's a hell of a stretch. It's like a cat in first light of day. Big stretch. I don't think this one's salvageable. In the some future day, everything will be all right. But cool, I guess. I mean, there's not. Which, if the. I mean, there's not. Ugh. I hate the minor prophets. I hate them. So let's do one more. Because here's the thing. I was flipping ahead just to get a sense of how the next couple of streams were going to go. And Zechariah is long. It's 14 chapters. So that's going to need to be several streams all on its own. And then we hit Malachi and we've cleared the Old Testament. But intervening before that plan, we've got to get through the book of Haggai. So, stream's running a little long, but folks seem to be having some fun in the chat. And logistically, we've kind of either got to do a super short stream soon that's only the book of Haggai, or we can do Haggai now, and I feel more like doing Haggai now. It's my channel. It's my party. I can Haggai if I want to. In the second year of Darius the king, in the 6th month, on the first day of the month, came the word of the Lord to Haggai the prophet unto Zerubbabel, the son of Shealtiel, governor of Judah, and to Joshua, the son of Jozadak, the high priest, saying, Thus speaketh the Lord of hosts, saying, This people say the time is not come, the time that the Lord's house should be built. Then came the word of the Lord by Haggai the prophet, saying, Is it time for you, O ye, to dwell in your sealed houses, and this house lie waste? Now therefore thus saith the Lord of hosts, Consider your ways. Ye have sown much to bring in little. Ye eat, but have not enough. Ye drink, but ye are not filled with drink. Ye clothe you, but there is none warm. And he that earneth wages to put it into a bag with holes. Thus saith the Lord of hosts, Consider your ways. Go up to the mountain and bring wood, and build the house, and I will take pleasure in it, and I will be glorified, saith the Lord. Ye looked for much, and lo, it came to little. And when ye brought it home, I did blow upon it. Why, saith the Lord of hosts? Because of mine house that is waste, and ye run every man unto his own house. Therefore the heaven over ye is stayed from dew, and the earth is stayed from her fruit. And I called for a drought upon the land, and upon the mountains, and upon the corn, and upon the new wine, and upon the oil, and upon that which the ground bringeth forth, and upon men, and upon cattle, and upon all the labor of the lands. Then Zerubbabel the son of Shealtiel and Joshua the son of Jozadak the high priest with all the remnant of the people obeyed the voice of the Lord their God and the words of Haggai the prophet as the Lord their God had sent him, and the people did fear before the Lord. Then spake Haggai the Lord's messenger in the Lord's message unto the people, saying, I am with you, saith the Lord. And the Lord stirred up the spirit of Zerubbabel, the son of Shealtiel, governor of Judah, and the spirit of Joshua, the son of Jozadak, the high priest, and the spirit of all the remnant of the people, and they came and did work in the house of the Lord of hosts, their God, in the 24th year of the 6th month, in the 2nd year of Darius the king. Book of Prophet Haggai, chapter 1. There's 2 chapters. God got pissy because nobody'd gotten around to rebuild the temple yet. Okie dokie. I don't have a lot here because I spent in the relatively early days of the channel what feels like a lifetime ago and also yesterday, spent an inordinate amount of time dealing with the details of God's attitude towards his house. Build me an house, saith the Lord. God wants a temple. God wants a dedicated place for people to come kiss his ass. And he turns into a pissy little bitch when he doesn't get his way. So he threatened a massive famine. And the children of Israel said, oh, fine, we will build you an house. And God made them all happy again. Cool story, bro. I mean, again, this happens a lot. God gets mad because people are worshiping other things. God brings a mighty heathen army that stomps Jerusalem into the ground and carries the children of Israel away to captivity in a foreign land. The people whine about it so much that God repenteth him of his anger, and he brings them out and resettles them in Jerusalem and insists that they build him an house. And they do. And everything's fine for a while. And then exactly the same fucking thing happens again. It's the entire Old Testament in microcosm. With one weird, specific little detail. And it's probably not what you think it is. This is a deep cut. And I'm cheating because we haven't got to it yet. But when someday we finally roll into the New Testament, we're going to encounter some of these names again in a very different context. Zerubbabel, son of Shealtiel, is an ancestor of Jesus of Nazareth, called Christ. I've known that for a very, very, very long time because I was raised with a lot of Bible audiobooks. And no matter how serious you try to make your voice, how much of a bedtime story per you try to monotone everything in, there is absolutely no way to get around the fact that in one of the genealogies of Jesus in the Gospels, there occurs the phrase, Shealtiel, the father of Zerubbabel. Well, I always thought it was just a great instance of Bible names are funny sometimes. Which it It is. I mean, it is. It's like Zerubbabel, Shealtiel, the father of Zerubbabel, is just, I mean, it's manifestly silly, funny. All of which is to say, apparently Shealtiel was a governor of Judah while Judah was under the dominion of Darius the Mede during the days of the Babylonian exile. So we got Old Testament H-list celebrities in the house, in the ancestry of Jesus of Nazareth, called the Christ. A minor government official who reported to Darius the Mede, who took over the kingdom at the age of 62, by the way, just, for reference, you remember. Oof, coffee gone cold. Yeah, probably means this stream's gone on long enough. So yeah, trivia. We got something out of a minor prophet. I'm sure there's some weird little niche market apologetic explanation for the significance of that. It's just kind of idly interesting here, but I'm not curious enough to look it up, just curious. Second and last chapter of the book of the prophet Haggai, which is the last one we're going to do today. In the 7th month, in the 21st day of the month, came the word of the Lord by the prophet Haggai, saying, Speak now unto Zerubbabel the son of Shealtiel, governor of Judah, and to Joshua the son of Josedech the high priest, and to the residue of the people, saying, Who is left among you that saw this house in her first glory? And how do ye see it now? Is it not in your eyes in comparison of it as nothing? Yet now be strong, O Zerubbabel, saith the Lord. And be strong, O Joshua, son of Josedech, the high priest. And be strong, all ye people of the land, saith the Lord. And work, for I am with you, saith the Lord of hosts. According to the word that I covenanted with you when ye came out of Egypt, so my spirit remaineth among you. Fear ye not. For thus saith the Lord of hosts, Yet once it is a little while, and I will shake the heavens, and the earth, and the sea, and the dry land, and I will shake all nations, and the desire of all nations shall come, and I will fill this house with glory, saith the Lord of hosts. The silver is mine, and the gold is mine, saith the Lord of hosts. The glory of this latter house shall be greater than that of the former, saith the Lord of hosts. And in this place will I give peace, saith the Lord of hosts. In the 24th day of the 9th month, in the 2nd year of Darius, came the word of the Lord by Haggai the prophet, saying, Thus saith the Lord of hosts, Ask now the priests concerning the law, saying, If one bear holy flesh in the skirt of his garment, or with his skirt do touch bread, or pottage, or wine, or oil, or any meat, shall it be holy? And the priests answered and said, Nope. Then said Haggai, If one that is unclean by a dead body touch any of these, shall it be unclean? And the priests answered and said, It shall be unclean. Then answered Haggai and said, So is this people, and so is the nation before me, saith the Lord, and so is every work of their hands, and that which they offer there is unclean. And now, I pray you, consider from this day and upward, from before a stone was laid upon a stone in the temple of the Lord, Since those days were when one came to an heap of 20 measures, there were but 10. When one came to the press fat for to draw out 50 vessels of the press, there were but 20. I smote you with blasting, and with mildew, and with hail, in all the labors of your hands, yet ye turned not to me, saith the Lord. Consider now, from this day and upward, from the 24th day of the 9th month, even from the day that the foundation of the Lord's temple was laid, consider it. Is the seed yet in the barn? Yea. And as yet the vine and the fig tree and the pomegranate and the olive tree hath not brought forth. From this day will I bless you. And again the word of the Lord came unto Haggai in the 24th day of the month, saying, Speak to Zerubbabel, governor of Judah, saying, I will shake the heavens and the earth, and I will overthrow the throne of kingdoms, and I will destroy the strength of the kingdoms of the heathen, and I will overthrow the chariots and those that ride in them, and the horses and their riders shall come down, every one by the sword of his brother. In that day, saith the Lord of hosts, will I take thee, O Zerubbabel, my servant, the son of Shealtiel, saith the Lord, and I will make thee as a signet, for I have chosen thee, saith the Lord of hosts. And there we have the book of the prophet Haggai. Well, we know why that one got left in. The temple must be restored to its former glory, yet more so. And you better do it right now, because I like my fancy shit, saith the Lord, God of heaven, King of Judah. Oh, and by the way, because you built me an house like I told you to do, out of, fear and terror and trying to not get smote with great vengeance and furious anger, regardless of your motivation, I have picked you. And your great, 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 great grandson is going to be me incarnated. I mean, not explicitly, but that's why New Testament compilers left Haggai in. I mean, obviously, because outside of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Moses, and Aaron, and Miriam, the whole big greatest hits, we don't have pretty much a lot of detail or stories about any of the various randos in either version of Jesus's bloodline. In this one, we've got a former governor of Judah during the Babylonian exile who rebuilt the temple and was chosen by God as a designated righteous bloodline. So that makes sense. Finally. Oh my dear Lord Jesus. Finally. Something that makes sense in this fucking book. Both narratively and in terms of compilation. Haggai. I could not have known. I have spent a lot of time while we've been in the minor prophets bitching and moaning about why was this left in, why was this left in. I am so bored. There's no story here. Nothing in this contributes to the plot. This is something that should have been left on the cutting room floor. Finally, in the book of the prophet Haggai, we get something that makes sense. that contributes to the overarching narrative, of which there's been precious little. I mean, like, it was back during the histories the last time much of anything happened that had any significant impact on the story. Like, if you look on the Bible as a story, we start with the creation of the universe and end, spoilers, with the end of time, with the significant through line being the justice and mercy of God as played out in the lives of everyday human royalty, and the plan of salvation. Pretty much since the wisdom literature, like since Job, there has not been any significant contribution to this overall plot. It's like we got to the end of the histories and we just sort of fucked off for a while. We did Job, Psalms, Proverbs, Ecclesiastes, Song of Solomon, and then we went into the prophets. And some stuff happened in the prophets from Isaiah then onward, but it's mostly poems and visions and laments and weepings and wailings of gnashing of teeth and woe unto them and just a bunch of random crap. And, nations rise and fall and lift up sword against nation, and God gets pissed and God takes pity, and just more and more and more of the same. And finally, it takes us until Haggai, which, for the record, is the anti-penultimate book of the Old Testament. Like, we've got 2 more books in the Old Testament. And we just now dipped back into the story. I strongly suspect we're going to fuck off out of the story again in Zechariah and Malachi, but who knows? Maybe we've gone back into the narrative. I don't know. You don't know. You'll just have to tune back in again next time and find out. Hit that bell. I just now noticed, says Angie. Yeah, exactly. In fairness, I did. I've just kind of been plodding along, just page upon page, just treading water, trying to get through. Now we've got story again. And now that we've got story again, I kind of forgot how nice it is to have story again. It's been so long. All right. Well, on the party stream when we make it to the end of the Old Testament, that is not a bad idea, Lone Wanderer. Good to see you, by the way. So on that note, having gotten back up into the story, we're going to fuck off. Because we've been streaming for 90 minutes, which I did not originally intend to do. Thank you all for coming. Y'all watching live, thank you so much. Anybody who's watching this in replay, who's made it this far, thank you so much. it's good to be back. I'm not gonna promise or predict that we'll be doing a stream every weekend because I don't have it in me some weekends. But it's good to it's good to hang out again. It's good to make some progress in this thing again. We started this adventure 3.5 years ago with In Principiat Creavit Deus Caelum et Terram. And here we keep on going. So, until we congregate again, as we always say before we head out of here, everybody take care and be safe and stand against hate. Bye, y'all.